Picture this. You literally just walked out of your final exam for statistics. You know the class average was a 63, you know the standard deviation was a 5, and you know you scored a 65. But here's the million-dollar question. What are the exact odds that you scored higher than a 65 compared to everyone else in that room?
By the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly how to calculate those precise probabilities. We're going to break down the specific calculator formulas step by step, and you'll see how to apply these normal distribution concepts to actual real-world data. Okay, let's dive right into this.
Section 1. The probability problem. To figure out the odds of any score occurring, we need to look at continuous data. And finding probabilities in continuous data is simply calculating the area under a normal curve. Now, here's the absolutely core rule of probability. The total area under this curve is exactly 1, or 100%. It represents every possible outcome, meaning every single exam score in the entire class. Think of it like a giant pizza. When we calculate a probability, we're basically just slicing out a specific piece of that 100% pizza to see exactly how big it is.
But there's a catch you always have to watch out for. The fundamental rule is that the area to the left equals the probability that x is less than x. This is absolutely crucial because normal distribution tables and calculators naturally read the area from left to right, just like reading a book. So if you want the area to the right, like figuring out the odds of scoring higher than a 65, you have to use a simple math trick.
Let's actually test this out right now with the Quick Pop quiz. If the area to the left of a score is 0.012, what's the area to the right? Wait, this is important. The answer is exactly 0.988. Why? Because you just take the total area, which is literally always 1, and you subtract that left area of 0.012. If you grasp that subtraction trick, you've already unlocked half the battle of mastering the normal distribution.
All right, Section 2, calculating normal probability. Let's see how this builds into solving our opening final exam problem using our tech.
To do this, we use a calculator function called normal CDF. Just think of it as a simple 4-step recipe that you're writing out on a whiteboard. Step 1, tell the calculator the lower bound of your slice. Step 2, tell it the upper bound. Step 3, enter the mean, or the average. And Step 4, plug in the standard deviation. So for our final exam, we want the probability of scoring more than a 65. Our lower bound is 65. But what's our upper bound? How high could the score theoretically go on a continuous distribution? Well, infinity. So the crucial part here is how we write that so the calculator actually understands. We use 1e99, which is just a handy calculator shortcut for 10 to the 99th power. It's a massive number way out in the right tail of the curve that effectively acts as infinity. So our exact syntax is normal CDF, open parentheses, 65, 1e99, 63, 5. And here is the resolution to our opening hook. When you process that formula, you get 0.3446. That means there is exactly a 34.46% chance that a randomly selected student scored higher than a 65 on that final exam.
Now let's completely flip the script, moving into Section 3, finding percentiles and scores. Now you might be asking, wait, what if I already know the probability, but I want to find the exact test score that matches it?
This brilliantly illustrates the difference between our two main mathematical tools here. Our first one, normal CDF, finds the area or probability when you already know the data points. But we also have a brand new tool, invnorm. This stands for inverse normal, and it works completely backward. It finds the specific critical score or percentile when you already know the area under the curve.
Let's make this easier with an example. I challenge you, what exact score represents the 90th percentile on that exact same final exam? Remember, the 90th percentile means 90% of the students fall below this specific score, and only 10% fall above it.
Here's how we break down the invnorm recipe for this calculation. Step 1. Enter the area to the left. For the 90th percentile, that's 0.90. Step 2. Enter the mean, which is still 63. Step 3. Enter the standard deviation, which is still 5. To make sure the mechanics are perfectly clear, your calculator syntax is simply invnorm, open parentheses, 0.90, 63, 5.
When you hit Enter, you get 69.4. That score of 69.4 is your critical value. It perfectly separates the bottom 90% of the class from the top 10%.
Let's step out of the classroom for a minute and connect this to real life.
Section 4. Real-world applications and the IQR, or interquartile range.
Check out this fascinating data from our source material. In the United States, the ages of smartphone users roughly follow a normal distribution. The mean age is 36.9 years old, and the standard deviation is 13.9 years.
What if I asked you to find the interquartile range of those smartphone users? The IQR represents the exact middle 50% of all the data. To find it, we just run our backward inform procedure twice. First, we calculate Q3, which is the 75th percentile. Then we calculate Q1, the 25th percentile. Finally, we just subtract Q1 from Q3 to find the gap between them.
Here's how the math shakes out. If you run invnorm with 0.75, 36.9, and 13.9, you find the 75th percentile is 46.3 years old. If you run it again with 0.25, the 25th percentile is 27.5 years old. By subtracting 27.5 from 46.3, we find an interquartile range of exactly 18.8 years. That means the core, middle block of all smartphone users spans an age gap of almost 19 years.
Let's begin to pull this all together. Section 5. Summary and final thoughts. We're going to apply our two primary tools to one final, slightly unexpected scenario. Take a look at this quote right from the text. A citrus farmer finds mandarin orange diameters have a mean of 5.85 centimeters and a standard deviation of 0.24 centimeters. I love this because it perfectly illustrates how the normal distribution literally dictates the sizes of the food we eat every single day.
So, I challenge you to mentally construct the formula one last time to really solidify your retention. What is the 90th percentile for the diameters of these oranges? Think about it. Which tool do we use if we already know the percentage, but we need to find the physical size?
Did you guess invnorm? You absolutely nailed it. The calculation is invnorm with 0.90, 5.85, and 0.24, which equals 6.16 centimeters. That means exactly 90% of all the harvested oranges from that farm will have a diameter of at most 6.16 centimeters.
Before we finish up, let's do a rapid-fire summary of the key points to guarantee we fulfilled our learning promise today. Rule 1. Use normal CDF when you want to calculate an area or a probability. Rule 2. Use innorm when you need to work backward to find a specific score or percentile. And Rule 3. Never forget that the total area under a normal curve is always exactly 1.
But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Everything we did today assumed our data was perfectly, beautifully, normally distributed. But what happens in the real world when your data gets incredibly messy? How does something called the central limit theorem completely change the game for statisticians dealing with pure chaos? Well, that is exactly what we're going to dive into next time. Thanks for learning with me, and I'll catch you in the next